What's up, chat? You know, I haven't made a regular video in a while because I'm a lazy chud, but I'm going to be doing the recap of the fiziev Torres fight night. But first, I gotta change something up about my appearance. Make myself look snazzy. Oh yeah, that's better. In favor of Canada making it to the round of 16, even though they're probably not going to make it any further, but, you know, gotta put on some Canadian glasses. And now we're only going to go through, like, the main card of the fight night because I'm a lazy chud, and I also didn't even watch the prelims. I slept through them because I forgot the fight night would have started early. But what's his name? Abus Magomedov versus Mikhail Olajayhuk. I thought Olajayhuk was gonna win. I didn't think Abus was like some crazy good fighter. Who did he lose to before Pyfer? Because I swear he lost a fight before Pyfer. Because he did look decent against Pyfer, but then and then he got knocked out and submitted. But Pyfer's obviously very good, you know. So seeing that, I thought he's 35. You know, Mikhail's on a comeback run in his career. He's won his last 3 fights. You know, this is a fight I think he can pull off and get in the bag. I don't see Abus doing this. And then Abus just beats him up, and then elbows him, drops him, and then submits him really easily. Well, let's look at the stats of the fight. Yeah, Mikhail... I can't read with these fucking things on. 5... Oh, I guess Abus didn't land much strikes either, because it was only 3 minutes in. 10-5, a knockdown. He barely hit. He went like that. The elbow, you know, but enough to put him down. Sad because Mikhail could have been something. He could have had a better career than Abus. Because he's younger and he's just, I guess he's been in the UFC for a while, so it's a bit different. But Abus is 35, and he called out Adesanya. You just lost to Joe Pyfer. You won 1 fight against Olajayhuk. You want Adesanya? No, you don't get Adesanya, buddy. I had a dream where Adesanya lost another fight. He lost his 5th fight. I don't know who it was to, though. I forget. But it was good from Abus. You got to finish. Which he somehow couldn't finish Michel Pereira. You know? But he looked good in this fight. Very good. Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira. I thought Ikram was going to win. The entire time, though, I was hoping Bruno would knock him out. You always sit there with these power punchers. This is what I did with Topuria versus Gagey. You're just sitting there going, any second. Any second, Topuria is just going to get it. You know? I kind of did that with Bruno with, any second he could just knock him out. Any second he can do it. He didn't. He landed a few good shots, I'll say that, but he didn't win any rounds. He got out-grappled with smudge grappling, but I don't really remember the grappling, so it could have been actually active. And Ikram kept looking for that fly. He kept landing that flying. I think he threw it 3 times, and he landed it twice. And it was decent on the feet when it was on the feet, you know? But when it went to the ground, it's pretty mid. But Ikram was clearly tired, and you don't want a power puncher to be in front of you when you're tired, because then you're just fucked, right? But 30-27 from Ikram. We thought he was going to win. And he needs to lock the fuck in. How many times does he fight a year? Once this year. Really? No. Twice last year. He fought... He fought Park? When did he fight this guy? I don't remember that. Oh, I guess I kind of do. Yeah. He's on a 3-fight win streak. After getting KO'd by Whitaker. Yeah, because he deserves a number 2 guy on short notice. Yeah, that makes sense. But 3-fight win streak. Good wins. Park, Muniz, Bruno, who was just ranked. I think you can do him versus Nickel, maybe. That'd be a good one. This is a good one. Alsu Almabayev versus Charles Johnson. I saw some people picking Charles Johnson. Now, let's look at Charles Johnson's last 5. He's 2-3 now. Um, he's got a win. He beat Loner Kavanaugh. Fluked him completely, Loner Kavanaugh. He beat Bruno Silva by a split decision that I thought he lost. He got pressed against the cage the entire first two rounds. And he looked like a complete bitch in that fight, you know? Until like the last 2 minutes when he started landing. Even when that fight happened, I said, yeah, they'll probably just rob him. They'll probably just rob Bruno and give it to Charles, which they did. And lost to Temerov, who was on the sauce. And after he beat Kavanaugh, they gave him this big jump. They went, oh, let's just give him Perez so we can get him to the top. And then he could fight somebody like Rafael or Moreno next. And he got bitched and dog walked in the first round by a complete journeyman who is 2-6 in his last 8. You know, with one of those wins being Mateusz Nicolau, which doesn't look great now, you know, because Nicolau's not even in the UFC. But and how is anyone picking Charles Johnson to win this? He got bitched and dog walked by Alex Perez in the first and got dropped 3 times. And Albanbayev finished Perez. I don't get it. Albanbayev's younger, hungrier, better wrestling. Charles doesn't really have great wrestling. And that's it. He's just better. He's beaten better competition. Has he? Who's he beaten? Who's he beaten? Charles Johnson this year. Oh, my phone's broken apparently. I can't click. There we go. He beat Alex Perez, Jose Ochoa, and I think he's on a 3-fight win streak, and Mateusz Nicolau. And Jose Johnson? When was the Manuel Cop fight? Did he fight 3 times last year? He did. Okay, he's only on a 3-fight win streak. But this guy fights real comp. He's top 10. Great wrestling. Manuel Cop beat him. That's Manuel Cop. Wait. That's Manuel Cop. He just knocked out Kyogi Horiguchi and Rafael, you know? So, of course, that's not a terrible loss to have. And, you look at Charles Johnson's loss, dog walked by Perez. So, I don't know how anyone was picking Charles Johnson. His last 2 got bitched, and he got bitched, and barely won. So I don't see how anyone thought, yeah, Charles Johnson's just going to win this fight. He's got this. He's going to knock him out. Manuel Cop is knocked out. Albanbayev. No one else, I think, but I could be wrong. I'm not even going to check. I'm too lazy. The next one. Actually, I do have to check their names for this. I was just going to start reading them off my head. Nazim Salikov versus Matthew Carmelo. I didn't know Matthew. I thought maybe he was making his debut. He did fight Vyacheslav Borshev in his debut. Did he finish him? I don't think so. Oh, no, oh, yeah. This is the guy who lost to Gabe Green. I remember that fight because I remember picking Gabe Green and I was like losing on my picks. And I was like, why the fuck did I pick Gabe Green? And then fucking submitted him in the second round. Wow. You lost to Gabe Green. It's not a good look. But no, you knocked out Nazim Salikov, which just kind of shows that they're rising to the top, and then they lose once and they lose it all. Usually, sometimes people like that, they just don't come back. And of course, he could have just gotten caught. But he lost to that guy, man. It happened. He lost to Faraz ZM, which people understood. But I mean, like, if you look at it, Nazim Salikov's never really had the best competition. Nicholas Mota, who lost to Jim Miller, got knocked out by Jim Miller. Who's he fought? He beat Terrence McKinney, which it's a good win. But if you're, like, decent, you're beating Terrence McKinney. If you have decent control and you can weather a storm, you can beat Terrence McKinney. You know, like Chris Duncan, like Esteban Ribovics, like Drew Dober, Bonfim. You know, these guys all beat him. You know, they destroyed him. Nah, I guess Duncan didn't destroy him, but mostly you weather a storm and then you're good. You know, if you don't just crumble or get knocked out really early, you're good against Terrence. And then in his next fight, he went to a draw with Vyacheslav Borshev, who's like 7-7, 8-7. Wow, you know, he hasn't really had the best competition. I don't really rank Ismail Bonfim that high, you know. So as soon as he ran into Ziam, he got smoked, you know. But he's decent, and it's a decent win for Matthew, whatever his last name is. And it was a good knockout. If you saw my reaction, I was eating a breadstick when it happened. You know, it was funny. It was a big, long breadstick. I was like staring at the camera, but I caught it in the side of my eye. But hey, we got a new contender. We got a new guy rising in the lightweight division. Give Gabe Green a title shot because he beat him. So, Shar Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. Shar is not that good, and I think most people recognize that. He's never really beaten the best competition, or had the best competition. He went to almost a decision with Andre Chikoli, who he should be finishing in the first round. I think he's 0-4 in the UFC. He beat Armen Petrosyan, who was on a 2-fight losing streak, or was coming off a loss, and then he lost to Bruno Ferreira. And yeah, I guess, then he got Marc-Andre Balliol. He doesn't really get the best competition. And he beats him, and then he gets a good guy, and he loses, or I guess just to MVP, but I don't think he really beats any of these great fighters at all. He doesn't make top. Having one eye doesn't help you at all. So, sucks. And he got dropped in the first round by a can like Michel Pereira, who's 1-3, and his one win was a split decision to Zachary Reese. Sadly, I wish Reese won that fight, but man, it's not great luck, especially getting dropped in the first round and bitched, and then you had to. I'm holding my glasses. I almost dropped them. Herb Dean's got to get fired. He was pulling Michel's pony hit to L, and then Herb told him to stop twice, and then he did it again. No punishment at all for doing this. And then kicking him in the nuts, no punishment at all. A point should have been taken. That fight should have been a draw. Pathetic from Shara. See, with these fighters that I don't like, I'll be like, oh, they're gonna get to the top, and I don't want that. I want to see them lose. But with Shara, I kind of didn't care because he's not making it to the top. He's not beating the top competition. So as soon as he faces the top guy, he's gonna lose. And he needs to fight more than once a fucking year. Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. Now, I thought Torres was gonna knock him out. I didn't think Fiziev was all that. And this just shows how good Mauricio Huffy is. To knock out Fiziev like that? One man to do it, man. Oh no, I guess Fiziev got knocked out early in his career, but still. It was beautiful what Mauricio Huffy. And see what Fiziev did to Manuel Torres? Man. Spinning wheel kick. It didn't even hit him in the head at all. Like, you're blocking, you'd expect it to hit like that. No. Torres was blocking like this, and it hit his arm like that. But it was just, spinning kicks are just that hard that it just sends you flying, especially when Torres was in midair, you know? So, and then he just swarms Torres on the cage. I thought Torres was gonna flatline this guy, knock him out, you know? Ignacio fight, you could just chop up Ignacio doing this and being a good counter puncher and stuff. And Torres did just knock out Grant Dawson. So that's good for him. You know, Grant Dawson's good. He could have been a top contender, but he got knocked out by Bobby Green. I wouldn't have accepted that fight, to be honest. I don't care if I'm a fight night main event. I wouldn't have accepted that fight. But it was good work in the first round. It was very close. I think Manuel might have edged it out because he landed a good jab at the end, but didn't seem to matter because 15 seconds in, gets dropped and knocked out. So that was good from fiziev. He completely saves his career. So does Shara, because he would have totally retired if he lost or been cut or something. Um, so it's good to see fiziev win, because Torres can still go on to do this or that. And if fiziev lost, it would have been over. And I think he'd do fiziev versus Hooker next. That would be a great fight.